Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Dark Skies News and Information. This one's gonna be fun today. We're talking about Juice, and I know you're gonna like this because this is one of my favorite movies. I swear to God, this movie is like a classic, and they don't make movies like this anymore. And this is like epic, right? Anyway, we're going to talk about Juice and one of my favorite movies of all time. You know, instead of doing the new shit, we're doing the old shit. You know, that's how we do here. So, light them if you got to make yourselves comfortable. You just found the number one podcast in the entire multiverse. Dark Skies News and Information. Jennifer, Mike and Ike's, Jim, Jeff, Becky on the ones and twos, and once again his own. I'm going to give you a second to make yourselves comfortable. Put your feet up. Make yourselves at home. We're going to do the same. We'll be back in a few seconds. You know what we do. Oh, what a beautiful day in sunny LA. Not a cloud in the sky, and I don't know why. But I do know one thing. We are here. From coast to coast, to across the pond, to around the world. And today, it's a fun show. I'm fired up. I'm glad y'all doing this for me. Or are y'all doing this for them? Well, it doesn't matter. I'm enjoying today we're talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, a classic. And they don't make movies like this anymore because I don't know why. You know, we look at, movies like Thor, Love, and Thunder. Was not a porno, even though he flicked too hard. We are looking at, the past. We're going to go back and look at, old movies because I believe old movies are better than new movies because new movies, are not very well written. They don't have no substance to it. I can't relate to the characters. Me and Thor have nothing in common. I've never been flicked. So I put it down like the G that I am. And I'm talking to y'all, live from Los Angeles, and we are having fun. And we was talking about older movies, and it was like, like some of the crew didn't see some of the stuff, so it was like real cool, when you can introduce something. And I'm like, Juice, is that Tupac? Yeah, yes. That's Tupac. Tupac, played in Juice. And I said, you know what? Let me tell y'all something about Juice. I like Juice is like a classic story of, of a struggle of, the youth, young black youth in the city, trying to survive. And it had all the, pieces or the elements, to create a good story, It had, our four young guys, Bishop and Raheem, and basically Omar Epps. See, this movie had a lot of stars in it, and a lot of people, probably didn't realize it at the time. Samuel L. was in this movie, and it's crazy because, that's like my number one guy. That's my man, I love Samuel L. But I forgot he was in it. But as I started to remember, I was like, this movie was fucking awesome. I can relate to the characters, See, with the four young guys, the wrecking crew, is what they call themselves. But they basically was four teenagers, and they stayed together. Because it's strength in numbers, safety. Nobody would mess with you if it's four of you, and y'all down to cut for each other. You're not a gang. You just basically watched each other's back, spent the day with each other, did everything together, and I could relate to like all the stuff that they were doing in the movie, like skipping school, going to the record shop, had the music and stealing records and stuff. It's crazy because it just was a movie like about the day in the life of just being like a normal black kid. But it's crazy because Raheem was, I guess, probably the older one, or he was definitely the most influential. The other ones listened to basically what he said, and he never really put them through too much, or asked them to do anything that was too crazy. But as they were getting older, you could tell that everything around them was changing, and Raheem understood that it's other guys out there, and even though it was four of them, that there were groups that were like actually larger, and the rival gang is basically who I'm talking about, and Radamas and his goons. But basically, they wasn't really a big problem because they did respect Raheem and they didn't really want to tangle with him too much. But at the same time, Radamas hated Bishop. And it was never really explained why. I mean, with these dudes, Bishop didn't care much for him either. Bishop was just, I guess, a lightning rod. And every time, like, they would interact the two groups, Radamas, would go at Bishop, and Bishop would basically egg him on. Like, come on, motherfucker, basically. So running into Radamas and his boys, had become, I guess, an issue. I guess Raheem started seeing that he probably needed to step his game up if they were going to be able to, still be able to walk around. Because Radamas was basically around. He was everywhere. He was basically outside. So it's crazy because the the story, called for them like to, step the game up. So, Raheem got the gun, and, as soon as he got it, Bishop got his hands on it, and, that was it. Nobody else got to touch the gun again, at that point. And that's something I noticed, once Bishop got it, he refused to give it up, But at that time when it wasn't a big deal, they're like, fuck it, we're going to argue about who has the gun, as long as we have a gun. And, we safe. And I remember they wanted to go rob the store, Old Man Quillis. And, they're just going to flash the gun and, get him to give up the money. Because he would always chase them off, and I guess, now that they got their gun, I guess that was going to up the ante, let him know that, to me, I think it was just getting back at him, for all the times that, he ran them off. And, he was an asshole to him, he was a grown man, and, he ran them off in front of the store. I guess they were annoying, but wow, he was a jerk. But anyway, they went in there to rob him, and Bishop kills him. And that just took the movie to a whole next level, and it's like life, like when you're doing stuff with your friends and you don't think that it's dangerous or you don't think that it's crazy, until it gets crazy. And you don't get no crazier than that, we killed a man. So they run, after the police, everything was just, scary, you know. So they actually had to wait because the police were driving by on a patrol right after they just killed the whole man in the store. So they let the police drive past, and then they broke. And you could see the great acting as each character ran with the fear of God in his eyes. Like, oh my fucking God, what the fuck just happened? What did you do? You could see it in every character. You know, they were crying. It was crazy. You could tell it was so much emotion and like realism and like that scene that you would never get like in Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, this movie just created like the fucking highest of all tension. Like, you just killed a man. Like, give me the gun. Raheem at that point wanted the gun back. And he's like, give me the gun. And Bishop was like, no, fuck that. You know? You saw it, he moved. And, everybody was there. They saw he didn't move. They're like, Bishop, you just killed him. Give me the gun. And Raheem probably should have explained to Bishop that he was going to get rid of the gun because it's now a murder weapon. But, he was more like trying to, like, give me my fucking gun. And Bishop was like, I got the gun, no. And, Raheem was like, what? And then they started tussling. And Bishop got free. And he shot Raheem. Now, that's like worse turned into, wow, to an unbelievable worse. A worse that's even, when you went in there to get, to rob the old man, you just want to scare him. And, maybe get the money, but mostly to scare him, to get back at him for all the times that, he ran you off. And now that man is dead. And now, with that over your head, you kill Raheem. Who gave you the gun? So at this time, Bishop is just, he's on cloud nine. He's off the tilted. He's gone. So they run to another location, because somebody heard the shot when Raheem went down. So they run again. They get to the next location, and they notice the Bishop is still with them. And you can see it in the other two's face that, oh my God, this motherfucker, like, you tripping, B? And Bishop was like, you saw it, he went for the gun. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. And I guess that's true, but he gave the gun to you, so really it's not true. And at this point we knew Bishop wasn't, making sense. He wasn't, his mind was just on a different level. He wasn't living in reality no more. He was creating it as he go. All the rules was gone, and he just wasn't there. He tried to calm everybody down and say, hey, we gotta go. If anybody asks, we don't know where Raheem is. It's a party, probably went with a girl or something. It's hard to keep up with a guy at a party. And he basically, came up with a story, trying to cover up the murder of their best friend. And he definitely didn't really mention the old man, so it had left his mind that he had killed the old man. He was just trying to, like, don't trip, let's go. And everybody was looking at him like they can't believe who they're looking at. And he was like, let's go. And they wouldn't move. He pulls the gun out again and points at them. Say, let's go. So they left. At this point, now they're like his hostages. Like, just do what I say, or or you'll get what Raheem got, basically. So they had to do what he said. And at this point, it becomes a horror flick because Bishop is everywhere. And they're avoiding him. They don't want to be around him. You know, this motherfucker killed the homie. He killed Raheem. He even came to his funeral. Hugged his mother. It's just cold, statistic. Bishop was, at this point, a villain. This motherfucker was like a Thanos, walking around, he had a gun and he was willing to use it. And the other two wanted to say something so bad, but it's like if they did, he would know. And I ain't gonna lie, at this point they were afraid of him. You could see it, like when Bishop walked up, like Q would take a step back. Even though like Q was like aware that Bishop was like, that he could probably take Bishop in a fight, but Bishop wouldn't fight him. Bishop would shoot him and kill him. Even said he would. I mean, the interaction in the hall where Bishop finally caught up with Q, like, hey Q, what's up, man? Just came to check on you. I ain't seen you in a while. And you could see it in Q's eyes, like I know you killed Raheem, but you ain't finna just don't ever point no gun at me. And, at this point, Bishop let him know that, I'm still Bishop. He said, let's hope I don't have to. And he said one of the coldest lines. He said, see, I ain't shit. I ain't never gonna be shit. And since you less than man to me, as soon as I realize you ain't gonna be shit, then pow, so be it. And he walked away. And at that point, it was like you could see it in Q's eyes. He's like, man, I'm dealing with the devil. This is the devil. This is not the homie. This is not the guy I grew up with. This is not my friend. This guy's a murderer. He killed people. And he's going to kill me unless I do something. So I remember you went to Sweeney to get him a gun. And she knew his mother because she wasn't going to give him no gun. She was like, boy, you couldn't buy nothing. I think he had a little bit of money, but he was trying to buy a gun. And she knew his mother. And I believe she knew what he was going through with Bishop. And she pretty much gave him that gun. And then told him to tell his mother hello. And I was like, dang. Now, see, that's some gangster shit. See, they don't make movies like that no more. Now, with this gun, he eventually had to go confront Bishop. Because big man done got shot, told him to avoid Bishop, end up, running into Bishop, and Q already knew. He called him, it's like, man, he said, man, I'm down here with Bishop. He said, I told you, man, to avoid him. And he's like, I tried, man. What can I do? Say no? He said, just get down here. And Bishop saw him on the phone and snatched it and said, who you talking to? And he just froze. And Bishop grabbed the phone and yelled and said, who is this? Q didn't say that. Just hung up. So at this point, Bishop, took big man down in the alley. Said, come on, man, I gotta do something. And he said, I hoped it could be different, And he shot him and killed him in the alley. Well, actually, big man survived the shots. I remember at the end, he did survive. But at that point, we thought he killed him, And by the time Q got there, it was like a scene, And they all started pointing at him like, hey, that's his friend right there. People started to point him out, so he took off. And he's like, fuck, this shit is crazy. So by this time, he go to talk to Samuel, like, man, what the fuck going on, man? What's happening? And he was like, what's happening? What's happening? He was like, word is, you killed the old man. And you killed Raheem. And you killed Steele. You hot right now. You out of the fish grease. And that was true, man. At that point, everybody was thinking that Q was the person that was doing all of this. And Bishop was setting them up. So Bishop was even worse than the devil. He wasn't even taking responsibilities for all the evil that he was doing. He was laying it off on Q, making it look like Q was doing it. So Q was living a nightmare at this point. But he's lucky he still did survive, because still cleared his name. But him and Bishop he had to confront him. So they did at the end, and they went at it. But before he went to confront Bishop, he threw the gun away. Even Bishop said that was foolish. And Bishop came to kill him. So I was like, dang. So, of course, the movie, just climaxes at this point. Bishop chased him around trying to kill him. Actually ran to a party. He's like, what, you gonna shoot me in the elevator? I mean, it's a crazy little scene, where, Bishop was basically trying to murder Q. And all the way to the point where, they ended up on the roof. And, they went at it. And like I said, I always thought that Q could beat Bishop in a fight. But just, that gun was the great equalizer. So, but anyway, at the end, Bishop dies. He falls off a roof. Anticlimactic. But, that was a cold motherfucker, man. And, I remember watching that movie over and over and over again, man. We used to know every line. We used to know every part. Rick and Crew. From beginning to end. I mean, it was a great, great movie. And like I said, when you think about movies that are made today, it's just not the same. I mean, it had a story. It had a story that I could relate to. It had characters. It had things that happen like in our neighborhood and in our streets all the time. But, it was like just in movie form, We all had like, on this side, all over, you probably had a friend that just go crazy. Now, probably not kill all y'all, but, I mean, all kinds of things happen. So it was cool to see a movie. And like I said, Tupac was a budding star at that time. He was really starting to get attention for his acting skills as well as his rapping skills. I mean, he was, there was no place but up. Because, like I said, he made great movies. But I think this one stands out to me as one of my favorite Tupac movies because it took him on a spiral. To the point where, you could see him as a cool friend to your worst enemy. And it was just wild just to see that, And the acting in the movie was incredible. Samuel L. Jackson is always a win. It just had all the elements that, shaped my expectation for movies, for the rest of, my movie-going life, Like I was look at the actors and are they portraying a scene? Do I feel the scene as, like when they was running from the store after killing the old man and seeing their faces and how the fear. And then seeing the absolute terror after he killed, right? I mean, Bishop and the things that he did in that movie was just incomprehensible. I mean, but it was happening. And they had to, show in their face like, you couldn't be like, oh, he just killed, Raheem. No, they had to look on their face like, what the fuck did you do? I mean, it was just, for real, it was incredible acting. I mean, Juice is a classic. So I want y'all to leave a comment in the comment box. Do you remember Juice, and what do you remember about it, and did you even like it? I mean, to me, it was one of my favorite movies, and I believe it was a classic. It was a classic story. It had great acting. It was well written, well directed, well edited. The soundtrack was fucking awesome. I mean, the whole little DJ battle, Queen Latifah, all of it was just cool to me. So let me know in the comment box, what did you think of Juice? And do you think I'm right? It was a classic and hands down better than a lot of the movies that are made today. No CGI. From Jim, Jennifer, Jeff, Mikey Nikes, Becky. I'm your host, LC Gaze. Do you remember Juice? I do. It's one of the best of the best. All right, y'all. Until we meet again, live from Los Angeles, California. You've been listening to the number one podcast in the entire multiverse. And I'm gone. All right, y'all.